If there's anything we've learned from It Ends With Us, and honestly, this entire Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal saga, it's this. Real stories of survivors of DV and SH, they matter. They deserve to be heard. And of course, not every survivor story is going to look the same. Not every timeline is going to be perfect. Not every witness is going to come forward. And not every piece of evidence will exist. But here's what we also know. In today's media world, it's incredibly easy to manipulate a narrative, to launch a fake Me Too campaign against someone, to defame a person's character, to try to destroy their life without a shred of real proof. And this week, we are seeing that stark contrast play out loud and clear. You might not have even noticed, because while Blake Lively is escalating her lawsuit, going after creators, subpoenaing lawyers with still zero evidence filed, another celebrity figure is making headlines for a very different reason that is highlighting and exposing the lies that Blake Lively is telling.
I experienced something extremely painful. It was all taken away from me.
The wildly popular podcast host Alex Cooper, the star of Call Her Daddy, has been opening up about her experience in her new Hulu docuseries and in a Raw interview that she just did about her own SH that she faced. And the way that Alex approaches her story, it's detailed, it's honest, it's emotional, it's rooted in transparency, not a spin. And I couldn't help but think, wow, how she is telling her story and all the evidence and all the proof unknowingly. This is highlighting exactly what Blake's story lacks: the truth, the evidence, and the honesty. So today we're going to break down how these two very different narratives tell us and what they reveal about truth, media manipulation, and public trust in 2025. Let's get into it.
Show me life, show me love, make a change, time is up.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ashley B TV. I'm a former TV news reporter with over a decade experience in Hollywood, and we love going behind the headlines on this channel. If you love pop culture deep dives and asking the question, why do we even care? What does this mean for society? Let's just dive a little bit deeper. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. I think we can get there. By the time I had to hop on my plane tonight, guys, help us reach 7,000 subscribers. We really appreciate your support. And if you want even more unfiltered takes, we just launched our Beekeeper Patreon, where all the beekeepers on this channel, you're now an official beekeeper. Then go ahead and join that. The link is in my description below. So first I want to get into what Alex Cooper shared in her recent documentary and what she also shared in a podcast interview with Dax Shepard, the armchair expert, okay? So in her Hulu docuseries, Call Her Alex, Alex opens up about her experience with a Boston University soccer coach. Her name is Nancy Feldman, who SH'd her.
I was determined to make a name for myself on that field. So when my coach started to pay extra attention to me, I figured it was probably because I was playing well.
Cooper says everything changed her sophomore year.
She details everything, and we are watching her in real time process this PTSD trauma. And I have to hand it to Alex, because being able to publicly share your story, yes, a decade later, but you're still sharing it, it details exactly what happens in these instances. And I think you telling your story is going to really encourage survivors to speak up and really stop these terrible things from happening.
I just remember feeling so sick to my stomach of like, this entire thing is just meant now to control me.
And Alex even says, I never even wanted to come forward, but when I found out recently that this was still happening, that she retired gracefully, but that her assistant coach is now performing SH on victims, she knew that it was time to speak up. And she did at the time as well, just not publicly.
Yes. Even more, to have more one-on-ones with me, to get me alone, to isolate me. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
She details who she told at the time, including her mother, who's a therapist. She took extensive notes about the emotional toll this took on her. She also shares who was in the room sometimes when this suspicious behavior would happen. She gives names and context, and she paints a full picture that is so chilling, because you can tell that Alex is clearly telling the truth. She admits she didn't want to come forward, but she knew she had to, and she was dismissed by the university's athletic director. She couldn't keep carrying on like this because she was having nightmares. It was eating her alive. She has text messages that she was able to provide.
You have no right to do this to my daughter.
And show the ones that she would send her mom. Her mom details as a witness to what has been happening, what's going on. Her teammates come forward. She talks about how she gave up her entire identity, something that she had worked for over 10 years, and how hard it is for survivors to come forward.
I call my parents and my mom is like, we got to come up. Like, we got to come up to Boston. Like, this is
time.
It's time.
As someone who's also experienced SH in the workplace, not to the extent that Alex did, but I understand how hard it is when you have to put everything on the line and you're worried. Like, it's honestly so annoying because you are worried for what is going to happen to you and how people are going to view you when you are the one who literally did nothing wrong. And even 10 years later, you can clearly see this emotional impact it has on her. She goes into even more detail when she's sitting down with Dax Shepard, the armchair expert, and it brings her to tears. She says to this day, she can't run on a treadmill because the coach used to watch her and make comments about her body during training sessions. So it's like a PTSD. It's really triggering her.
And I sat down and I just had tears streaming down my face sitting in my locker. And all of my teammates, individually or collectively in groups throughout the rest 30 minutes, because then we had to go out to practice, were like, Cooper, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? I'm so sorry. That was so inappropriate.
The level of detail and vulnerability and emotional consistency is exactly why audiences believe her, because it feels authentic, because she's telling the truth. In her mom's notes, that's exactly the type of documentation courts typically look for in these cases, proof of emotional distress, which Blake Lively's case was asked to provide, but she refused to do so. So again, without pitting two stories against each other, but really highlighting the stark contrast about someone who's telling the truth and someone who's creating a false claim just to save their public image, their public persona, their public appearance. Let's be very clear. This is not about not believing women. We wanted to believe Blake Lively. I'm sure many of you have expressed that in the comments, that when the New York Times article dropped, we're like, oh my gosh, this is why they weren't promoting this movie together. Everyone wants to believe survivors, but even when you don't have physical evidence, if you are bringing something to case and you're saying, I have proof, if you're saying that, then you have to provide consistent details, even in a legal case, especially one where you're filing public claims and suing for damages. You have to meet a standard of proof in civil court. That's called preponderance of evidence, meaning you have to show that it's more likely than not that what you're saying is true. And Blake Lively has filed no messages, no supporting witnesses. She won't bring any medical records. She won't actually provide any proof that she claims to have. The things that she's saying is proof that she's manipulating. It's actually Justin Baldoni's team who's saying, you know what? I mean, let's let you be the judge. Let us bring this evidence forward. Let us show you what this scene was like on tape. Let us show you the text messages that she is sharing, not that she's experiencing emotional distress or that she's feeling uncomfortable, but actually that she's feeling really comfortable, that she's really proud of the work that she's created, that she's so impressed by Justin Baldoni and the way he carries himself on set. Everything contradicts what she's trying to now tell us months later, after the public has decided, Blake, we don't like that you used this movie that was so serious, that so many audience members related to in this book, to grab your friends, grab your florals, to become the next Margot Robbie in Barbie. This wasn't Barbie. This wasn't the goal. You missed the assignment. The court specifically asked your team to provide medical records of evidence of emotional distress, and rather than providing that and complying, she actually dropped those claims entirely so she wouldn't have to. Meanwhile, she's continuing to use the court system to subpoena Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, and trying to intimidate creators who cover this case instead of providing actual evidence that support her original claims. Let us remind you, she is the one who brought these claims to light. And audiences, they can tell the difference. The public is so much savvier about how these Me Too narratives can be weaponized. We've watched Depp versus Heard, Manson versus Wood. We know what real survivor stories tend to include and what they look like and how they're telling their story. I mean, it's very easy for us to tell they're telling the truth. Cassie versus Diddy is a great example right now. And so is Alex Cooper. She's unknowingly reminding us what it looks like when someone comes forward with the truth. It's not comfortable. You're not going around making jokes on SNL. You're not going around saying, I am standing for women. I need to go on a late night show. You're not. In Blake's case, this is a stark contrast and looks more like a PR spin designed to punish and destroy, not to tell the truth. And that's exactly why public trust is shifting. And it's a shame that it has to get to this point. That's exactly why people aren't just turning on the TV and watching the news. They're like, okay, that was the headline. Now, what's the real story? Let me go to creators who actually have the curiosity to see the manipulation, the PR manipulation, how celebrities in Hollywood and how the powerful elite and the wealthy are manipulating headlines, are manipulating narrative. This isn't about disbelieving survivors. It's about recognizing when the system is being abused to hurt others. As creators, as viewers, we have to look critically. We're going to talk about this more in an upcoming story we're doing on the Duchess of Montecito. Well, let's stick to this case. Are they naming witnesses? Are they submitting evidence? Are they acting with integrity? Or are you using legal threats to silence people? Because truth matters in 2025. And Blake Lively talks about being silenced, but you are the one trying to silence people, and the audience, they can tell the difference. So what do you think about all of this? Is there anything that you still feel like is maybe a shred of evidence that Blake Lively is presenting in her case? Did our examination today of Alex's story shift your perspective on how these narratives should be handled in the public? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are building a smart and thoughtful community and corner on the internet, and I'd love to have you a part of the Beekeeper crew. And again, if you want to take this one step further, if you want to see behind the scenes, our unhinged, unfiltered takes, go ahead and join our Patreon community. I would love to have you. My first 100 people who join our Patreon by tomorrow, so Thursday, I'm going to send a postcard from Hollywood. And if you haven't caught up on her latest subpoenas and you want to watch those deep dives, watch this video next. For all of our other deep dives, those are in the description below. I will see you in our next video, guys.
Show me life, show me love.